There's a new football hero in town, and maybe, just maybe, the Lions will sign him.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, here we go, everybody. It is a new week of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On a Monday, April 1st, April Fool's Day Monday, and a Tuesday, April 2nd. Thanks for checking us out wherever you get your podcasts and making us your first listen right here on Locked On Lions. Again, Matt Derry with you. Thanks for being with us here on another week of Locked On Lions. We got Mock Draft Monday. We got this new hero in town we got to talk about from a football standpoint here in Detroit. Cam Sutton is in the news. A lot to get into today right here on Locked On Lions. We're brought to you today by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Follow us on Twitter at Derry Speaks, at Locked On Lions, Facebook, Matt Derry fan page, Threads at The Real Matt Derry, and also check us out on YouTube. For those of you that listen to the podcast, thank you. But if you watch, please subscribe. You get the podcast every day on the video side on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. All right, first things first, I got one message today from a friend of mine, the legendary Christine Shea over at NTech Staffing Solutions. And she says, "Are we really trading Jared Goff?" And I said, "No, it's an April Fool's joke." Yes, apparently it went around social media today that the Lions were trading Jared Goff to the Commanders for the number 2 pick. April Fools, right? You knew there were going to be a few. You knew there was going to be some buffoonery today on April Fool's Day, so that was the one. But I only got one message. So shout out to Chris. She was the only one that took the bait, but we love her anyways. All right. So with that being said, I want to talk about the story of all stories when it comes to Detroit football. We talking draft today? Yeah, we got a mock draft for you, mock draft Monday. We talking about an extension for Goff or Amon-Ra St. Brown, or what about this or that, or the Lions going to draft a receiver, or there's rumors that Josh Reynolds' people were upset with Lions fans. No. I want to get to the heart and the meat of the story. I want to get to the biggest story of the day. Folks, I got 2 words for you. Jake Bates. Oh, that's right. Jake Bates, baby. If you don't know who Jake Bates is by now, then you got problems. Anybody catch the Michigan Panthers game yesterday? I don't know who they played. I think it was the Battlehawks. Jake Bates, undrafted. Jake Bates, never kicked in college. He was a kickoff guy. But he's now on your Michigan Panthers in the UFL and in front of 9,000 fans at Ford Field. That's right, 9,000 on Easter Sunday. Jake Bates kicked a 64-yard field goal that hit the net. It would have been good from 74 and helped the Michigan Panthers get their first dub of the year. I believe it was 18-16. So I see this kick on social media. I get a tweet from one of our everydayers. Shout out to our everydayers. And I would go back and look, but I'll shout them out tomorrow. That said, "Did you see that kick? Lions should sign him." And I'm like, "What kick?" And I look it up, and there it is. Jake Bates, the pride of Texas State and then Arkansas for 1 year as a kickoff specialist, hit a 64-yard field goal. Now the Detroit News is reporting that among the teams that has already reached out to the Michigan Panthers from the NFL to talk to Jake Bates, the Detroit Lions are on that list. Of course they are. Come on, Brad. Bring him home. Mix it up in a pot. Make it spicy. Let's go. Last year, if you recall, Bradley Holmes did sign J.P. Romo. John Parker Romo then became just Parker Romo from the XFL. And he competed in training camp with, I don't even remember, was it Riley Patterson in training camp? I think it was. last year. Or maybe it was Michael Badgley versus Romo, and then they got rid of Badgley, and then they signed back Patterson. I can't keep up with the Lions for 3 years with kickers, and neither can you. I think I have my list. I think I wrote down a list a long time ago, and I kept it here. I don't even know where it is. I've had a list of the Lions kickers. Wait a minute. Let me see if this is it. I'm doing this on the fly. Yeah. Here's my Lions kicker list. Randy Bullock, Zane Gonzalez, Matthew Wright, Austin Seibert, Ryan Santoso, Aldrich Rojas, Riley Patterson, Austin Seibert again, Dom Eberle, Michael Badgley, Aldrich Rojas, Sam Ficken, Riley Patterson, Michael Badgley, John Parker Romo. Okay, that's not even counting everybody. Those have been the kickers for the last 3 years that the Lions have had down at 222 Rodwood Drive. All right. This kid belts a 64-yarder yesterday under pressure at Ford Field, on our field. And started his college career at Central Arkansas, 2 years of soccer, transferred to Texas State to be their kickoff specialist for 2 years, had one more year of eligibility, and moved up to Arkansas in the SEC in 2022, where he was the kickoff specialist as well. Now, the kicker at Arkansas, he's really good. Then last year, Jake Bates got a tryout with the New England Patriots. The Houston Texans. He kicked in one game against the Patriots in the preseason. He went 2 out of 3 in extra points and then immediately was waived and cut. Here's the connection for Brad Holmes and the Michigan Panthers. The Panthers general manager is Steve Kazor, who was a Rams scout the same time that Brad Holmes was running scouting with the Rams. Are you getting all of this? Do you want me to tell you about Jonathan and Mariana Bates, his parents? I'll go there. I'm fired up. Let's get Jake Bates to the Lions. Let's go. Dude drilled it from 64 with the 7 seconds left. Hit the net. What Lion kicker's done that since Matt Prater left? I don't think so. The pride of Tomball, Texas. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. Tomball, Texas. Jake Bates. He's the talk of the town. Will the Lions sign him? They said they wanted to give Michael Badgley some competition. Badgley, of course, was re-signed to a 1-year deal. What will they do? Who will they bring in? Will it be local boy, Michigan Panther great after one game? Jake Bates. They're playing again Sunday, apparently. So there you have it. That's the talk of the town. And the Detroit News put it out there. It wasn't even Justin Rogers. And all of a sudden, it's all over the place. Lions interested in Jake Bates. This poor kid. I went on his Twitter, and he didn't even post the kick yet from yesterday or any of the articles about him. He's like he's a saint already. He is Michigan Panthers football. Who else is on the Panthers? I couldn't tell you, but I know who Jake Bates is. They weren't even on the radio yesterday, the Panthers. I guess they were the first year, but not now. Anyway, let's just see what happens and if the Lions give him a shot. That was a heck of a kick. If you missed it, just Google it. It's all over social media. He drilled it. Just punished that football. So congratulations to that young man. All right. Coming up next, this Cam Sutton story is bizarre. Cam Sutton is free. He's free to roam the streets. He's back. He turned himself in last night. I don't know how the legal system works. I'm not a law and order guy. I'm not, I didn't study law, but I'm just a little bit floored as to what took place today and last night. But we'll tell you about that, about the former Lion, Cam Sutton, coming up next. Hey, everybody, Matt Derry here to tell you about FanDuel. The sports calendar is loaded right now, and FanDuel is making it even more exciting to get in on the action. What am I talking about? Well, because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on the tournament, down to the Final Four, ladies and gentlemen. No one's beating UConn. MLB, NBA, NHL, Wings in action tonight. Get in on that, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn locked on, and make your first bet a big win. Seriously, we got baseball going on. We got Tigers tonight. We got against the Mets, Wings tonight. All sorts of stuff going on. Iowa women's hoops against Angel Reese and LSU. Come on. Put some money down at FanDuel. FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. Again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sports betting partner, the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, it's a Monday edition of Locked On Lions, everybody. Thanks for making us your first listen. We got a little mock draft Monday coming up momentarily. For those of you that missed it, and maybe you did not see the news last night, but yes, finally, Cam Sutton was down in Florida and turned himself in to the local authorities down there in Hillsborough County. If you recall, back on March the 7th, there was an arrest warrant out there for Sutton for allegedly strangling his girlfriend, domestic violence. Then March 20th, Sutton was spotted in Allen Park. Rod Wood, Lions team president, an all-around good guy. We love Rod on the show. He knows that. Rod Wood admitted at the owners' meetings that Cam Sutton was indeed in their facility after the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and Department put out a social media plea that Cam Sutton was wanted and needed to turn himself in. Well, it turns out that last night, on March 31st, almost 3 weeks to the day, it was 3 weeks to the day, well, not 3.5 weeks, Sutton decided to turn himself into authorities, and he showed up down in Hillsborough County. Law enforcement officials said, quote, after weeks of evading law enforcement, this man has finally made the right choice to turn himself in. Domestic violence has no place in our community, and no one is above the law here in Hillsborough County. My thoughts are with this woman as she continues to heal from this man's gruesome actions. That's from the sheriff down in Hillsborough County. Well, all right, so he turned himself in last night, right? Like, what's the bond going to be? Like, a lot? Nope. No. Cam Sutton today was released from police custody on his own recognizance, meaning there was no bail. There's a future court date. He's being charged with misdemeanor domestic battery, not a felony charge of strangulation, which is what the original charges appeared to have been. So I don't know if there was some sort of plea deal going on. I don't know if Sutton, I don't know what took place. But let me get this straight. For 3 weeks, Cam Sutton went missing. No one could find him. Well, the Lions could, but that was it. He was evading police for 3.5 weeks. Something was amiss here. Because if it's just a misdemeanor, I at least know that misdemeanor is like a slap in the wrist compared to a felony. And now, no bail, no bond, no nothing. He's back out on the streets. He could come, well, the Lions cut him. He can't come back to Allen Park. Maybe he can come back to Allen Park to pick up his things if he has anything left. So you mean to tell me that you evade police for 3.5 weeks? They are putting out on social media, find this man and grab him. We need him. He must turn himself in. And then he's at the police station for like 12 hours. They just let him go today. Sutton's attorneys have posted this commentary. On March 31st, 2024, Mr. Cameron Sutton voluntarily turned himself into the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. On April 1st, 2024, he was released on his own recognizance. After completing an investigation into this matter, the Office of the State Attorney has elected to file a single misdemeanor. Both Mr. Sutton and the mother of his children request privacy in this matter as they view this as a family matter and wish to resolve it as a family, end quote. That's unbelievable. Again, I am no expert on this stuff. I'm not spending any more time on it. I just wanted to make a point. This guy was on the Lions. They were forced to release him. Not forced. They did release him. He was running from the law for 3 weeks. He gets there and finally turns himself in, and they just let him go. And it's a misdemeanor. Now, maybe his girlfriend or the mother of his children came forward and said it wasn't anything big, but where was he all this time? This will go down as a very, very bizarre story. Now, Stephon Gilmore, if we want to talk about football for a second, Here on April 1st, Stephon Gilmore still is without a job. I would like to see the Lions sign him. Replace Cam Sutton with a veteran. You can still draft a corner in the draft. You can still bring in another young corner. You can never have enough corners. Brad Holmes said that. Dan Campbell said that. But I would love to see them grab Stephon Gilmore. I saw a stat last week, a PFF, and one of their stats in terms of passes defended. Stephon Gilmore was like in a top 10 corner this year in one of their categories. Good veteran, still could play at 34, and I would love to see that get done. But as far as the Sutton off the field story, I just found that to be absolutely crazy and weird. Almost as crazy as today's April Fools about trading Jared Goff. Again, folks, even if it's an April Fool's thing, Jared Goff's not going anywhere. I'm at the gym and the TVs are on, and all they want to talk about is like Dak Prescott going into his last year, or what are the Redskins Commanders at number 2 going to do? They're going to take Drake Mayer. They're going to take JJ McCarthy. What about Jaden Daniels? All right, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft. Michael Penix. It was a big story about Michael Penix and how good he's looked at Washington Pro Day and where he will go. Everybody wants to talk about quarterbacks. Teams are desperate for a quarterback. Look what Pittsburgh did. They went out and got 2 guys off the scrap heap. Justin Fields, whom nobody wanted, by the way, including the Bears, who don't have a quarterback until April 25th, and Russell Wilson. But yet, still in this town, we have people talking about Jared Goff. The Lions are going to sign Jared Goff long-term, whether some of you like it or not. Whether some of you are rocking Hendon Hooker jerseys, which is stupid. Jared Goff's damn good. Really good. Arguably as good as any quarterback in the NFC right now. Look it up. I mean, Matthew Stafford was back in town today for Say Detroit. He and his wife, and they did a fantastic job downtown today. Say Detroit, supporting kids. They built this house so the kids have a place to go and stuff, after school programs, all sorts of stuff. The Staffords were both Kelly and Matthew were extremely gracious today and coming back for a groundbreaking for another building that they're putting up. So shout out to the Staffords for being back in town. But you could argue he's the best quarterback in the NFC. Yet he lost to Jared Goff in the playoffs. Jared Goff is not going anywhere. Just remember that. I know it's sexy to talk quarterbacks. I know it's cool to say, the Lions aren't drafting one. We know that. I'm just making a point. Even if it's April Fools or you got a buddy that goes, oh, let's trade Goff and keep Hendon Hooker. Stop. Jared Goff's going to be here next year and for years to come. He has played really good football his 3 years in Detroit. Really good. All right, coming up next, Mock Draft Monday. I got one for you. This ought to be interesting to talk about. We're going to do that coming up next, right here on this Monday edition of Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions is sponsored by BetterHelp. Are you thinking about talking to somebody? Maybe therapy is an idea that you've bounced around and thought, hey, maybe I should do this. What's the first thing you do if you had an extra hour in your day every day, right? Go for a run, take a nap. What would it be? All right, a lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time. Question is, time for what? Time was unlimited. How would you use it? Best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. All right. I talk to a therapist every other week, and it's something that helps me out, keeps me grounded, somebody neutral that can help me out. So if you're thinking about starting up therapy, I want you to give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. How awesome is that? Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. I hope everybody had a great Easter weekend, and we are back at it here on a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. Can you believe it? We're into April. Yes. April 1st. It's still freezing, but we are here And now we're just 25 days from the NFL draft in Detroit. So it should be a lot of fun. All right, we like to do this during draft season. It is time for Mock Draft Monday. Today, Eric Edholm's mock draft at NFL.com from this past weekend. This is interesting. I'll give you the top 5 just to have some fun here. Caleb Williams to the Bears, not a surprise. J.J. McCarthy to the Commanders at number 2. Patriots get Jaden Daniels at 3. Vikings move up and trade to number 4 to get Drake May. They traded it with the Cardinals. And the Chargers get Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 5. Now, that would be a huge coup for Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers to get Maserati Marv at number 5. I can't believe I just did that. So keep an eye on that. All right. So as we get down to Detroit at number 29, I looked at this mock draft and I went, what did Eric Edholm do? He doesn't have the Lions picking at number 29. He has the Lions trading number 29 to the Carolina Panthers in exchange for the first pick in the second round, number 33, and a 4th round pick. The Panthers then would move up from 33 to 29. So they're moving up, 4 slots? Moving up 1, 2. Yes, 4 slots. I can count. To take Xavier Worthy, the speedy wide receiver from Texas. Remember, Xavier Worthy committed to Michigan, then ended up going to UT, had the fastest 40 time in the history of the combine. Xavier Worthy to the Panthers at 29, leaving the Lions to not make a selection in the first round. Edholm writes, quote, if the Panthers are willing to fork over a 4th rounder, which Detroit currently lacks, to move up from early in round 2, they could snag the draft's best speed ball in this range. Worthy would add some life to the team's pass-catching unit, giving Bryce Young a Jalen Waddle type of talent. Carolina needs weapons and might be itchy to move up in Dan Morgan's maiden draft as general manager. Now, remember this. The Lions could be at 29, taking this phone call. Yes. They could also draft Xavier Worthy. You know Brad Holmes likes speed. Lions could use another wide receiver after losing Josh Reynolds to the Denver Broncos, right? But instead, pick up another 4th round pick and get the number 33 overall pick. Now, here's the thing. And we talked about this last week with Chris Burke from The Athletic. There's going to be a lot of Lions fans downtown. There's going to be a lot of Lions fans that cannot wait for their team to be on the clock in their own city for their player to be called his name and for him to walk across the stage in front of the Lions fans. For Brad Holmes to trade out of the first round and make everybody come back on Friday for 2 picks would certainly be interesting. But again, Brad Holmes has to do what's best for the organization. He's not just going to hold on to the pick at 29 and not trade out because the draft is in Detroit. He's not going to do that. You're getting an extra 4th rounder. You're moving up and getting, you're basically swapping 29 for 33 and getting a 4th round pick, a high 4th round pick, by the way, a good 4th round pick in order for the Panthers to get Xavier Worthy. Now, in this mock draft, Kingsley Suamatala, the big tackle from BYU, would be drafted at 32 by Kansas City. It would be the last pick of the first round. He's a guy that, if you remember, is Penei Sewell's cousin. And we know this, Lions could go the offensive line route to add some depth to, add into a position that, Brad Holmes always cares about. And it means a lot to, certainly to have depth along that offensive line. Right now, who are the Lions' backup tackles? We know Colby Sorsdal is there, as an option. We know Matt Nelson has left. Others have gone. Dan Skipper is back, right? But they could be adding some depth, certainly, along the offensive line. So that would be the mock draft Monday for you, where the Lions would trade out from 29 to 33, get an extra 4th round pick thrown in there, and not pick in the first round. That would certainly cause some boo birds downtown. But again, Brad's got to do what's best for the organization. All right. And I think it was Jeff Risdon from the Lions Wire a while ago that said if he had to guess that the Lions wouldn't pick in the first round and that they would try to accumulate more picks and get out from a 29, hope to fleece a team. That way you're moving down 4 spots. That's it. You can still get the guy you want at 33 if there's somebody there, and pick up another 4th rounder. So we shall see. But that would be something that would be definitely interesting on draft night. But Xavier Worthy, whom the Panthers are moving up to get, with A.D. Mitchell going to 28 in this mock draft to Buffalo, those could be a couple of guys that certainly could wet Brad Holmes's whistle. Those are 2 speedy and very good wide receivers. All right, we are back again tomorrow with a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.